massive resilience to keep going, and especially close to the whistle. The amount of times you've seen something like that in a game and they're switched off, or someone's just hacked it forward and forgot about it. But yeah, to get that try was good, and I think that then buoyed them into the second half. And what performance it was! I mean, it's interesting. Do Catalan just not bother playing for the first 6 rounds? Is that what they do? 10 rounds? Is that they're just their MO and then they're going to come good again, or?
You gotta wonder if they approach this game with truly the right attitude, I suppose. Yeah, but that side that they put out should be capable of at home of beating this Salford Red Devils side. Salford just played incredibly well. I don't even think in the first half the Dragons were that bad. They had a few passes that just floated forward that would have put them into really good positions or would have even led to tries. They had a couple of moments, even the one that led to that try right on the half-time hooter, where their execution was just a touch off. But Salford took every chance. They did everything they could to do this game right, I thought. I mean, that's what I thought. Which of the tries did you like the most? Because it's difficult, isn't it?
It is. I mean, Bibby, any of his, both of his were good, but particularly I did like that one at the end of the first half, just for the trying to keep up with it and trying to work out who was actually good. If you said there was a try coming, but you didn't know who scored it of all the players, that was quite fun. I think it was probably goes one, but. Yeah,
I'd go the George Griffin one. I mean, I know Evels was a little bit lucky to just get his fingers out of the way on his first kick, but his second kick was wonderful. And Hastings' quick hands, in a little bit of hope you would suspect, but still shows his vision and awareness, I guess, to Griffin, who was powering through for a forward.
Yeah.
There's so many to choose from, weren't there, in this game?
Yeah, and it was... But, and even the Ken Seo try I quite like, because where he back up. But what did show with Salford is they were playing well as a team and they were backing each other up, and there was no break. There weren't many real solo breaks. There was always someone else with them, and it was because they were all supporting each other, and that's what drove them home.
I agree. Very entertaining to watch, and the fact that they just kept it going in that second half. And even when there was a bit of pressure on their own line in the second half, they just were happy to give away penalties, thinking that the Catalans are going to force it at some point and make a mistake, and ultimately that happened every time. So well done to them.
And that away kit looks lovely as well, with a nice big sash down the middle.
It's a nice kit indeed. Fair enough. Anything else, or shall we talk about the final game?
Let's move on.
Yeah, I'm sure you're happy to talk about this one too, Tim. Sunday's only game this week. It was played in initially torrential weather, but in the final stages, muddy sunshine down at the Mobile Rocket, and it finished.
Is that something from the someone who starred in the Rob Elston sex tape?
Wakefield 6, Hull KR 10 it finished. It was a thrilling 2-2 at half-time. 5,559 were there to see Mr. Tom Grant be the referee, the most talked about man after the game in some quarters, but we maybe will get to that as we go along. In terms of the stats, this game had the fewest tries so far in 2019 with just the one, but the most penalties in a game with 22. Hull KR were on the wrong side of that count, 9-13. Wakefield made slightly more metres from a lot more carries actually in this game than Rovers, although Hull KR made ground at a better average. Pretty good 1.4 metres per carry better average gain actually than their opponents. Both sides made 4 breaks, but Hull KR grabbed the one and only try of the game, questionable as it may be. Individually, Mitch Garbett went well both ways, 41 tackles and 179 metres for the big man. Craig Hall 120 metres. Kane Linnett, who came in for some praise I think after this game, 105 metres in the second row there, and George Lawler at loose forward did the both ways thing, 51 tackles and 100 metres for him. For the losing Trin side, Reece Lynn, 6 tackles, 148 metres, 2 clean breaks. Seems like he was one of their biggest attacking threats, but couldn't quite finish anything off. Tinarau Arona, 124 metres. Big day for Fita, 8 tackle busts, 118 metres, so a bullying effort from the big man in the pink shorts. And Kyle Wood,
didn't have the pink shorts on this week.
Did he not?
No.
Kyle Wood, 45 tackles, 14 of which were marker tackles. Again, a really big defensive effort, but is that starting to take its toll on a player who's not traditionally known as the 90-man middle defending hooker? Because that is, maybe he is being stunted a little bit from the commentary I heard on this game and from the reviews I've read. Not much of an impact from Kyle Wood, unfortunately, even though he put in a solid effort. Fan reviews. Do you want to start with the first one?
Yeah. Carsten says Danny Maguire is the reason Leeds is 11th and the Robins are 7th. Oh, to have Jimmy helps too.
Tom Andrews says, Battle of the Mouthy Standoffs, a defensive showing from Hull KR, not conceding a try away from home. Right, what planet am I on? I think I'll hang around. If Lamb wants some defensive tips, he follows the yellow brick road to find the wizard. Now to back it up again next week against the Frogs, and the season is well on track. Hope Greenwood's injury isn't too bad. Yeah, James Greenwood went off with an ACL injury that looks like it might be quite serious. He went off around about the half-hour mark, I think, which just emphasises the impressiveness of the Robins winner, I suppose, in this one, given that they were playing for most of the game with a reduced bench and reduced size against a big side in the conditions that suited big sides.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, Wakey White says, well, that was a right crock of shite. Had my face sandblasted by 60 miles per hour hailstones pre-match and got to Bellevue to witness a dour, uninspiring game where skill was a secondary concern to winning penalties and meters were few and far between. Wakey were just about the better side over the piece, and replays will show that Röver's winning try came from a blatant knock-on in the build-up. Turgid stuff all round.
Paige said, well, who would have thought it? Tim Sheens is magically a wizard again. Danny Maguire goes from zero to hero in no time flat. Drinkwater is now a saint, and the internet has been fixed just in time in East Hull. Some strange results this weekend, but that's Super League for you.
Yeah, it was almost what you refer to as sort of 1970s game, wasn't it, with playing in the mud and no one really going anywhere and penalties being the dominant force.
Yeah, I listened to this one on the radio, and it did. There was a lot of fill from the commentators, I suppose, because there wasn't much action on the pitch. Tini Arona, he seemed to be a player who revelled in these types of conditions, but I think his effort ultimately, obviously, wasn't enough for Wakefield. And it sounds like some of the Wakefield, some of the Hull KR players maybe were a little bit more consistent in the game. People like Kane Linnett put in a solid effort. Will Dagger at the back, it sounded like he was faultless. And also Chris Atkin off the bench was a change-up for Rovers that Trinity weren't able to provide, which maybe did, from the commentary I listened to, certainly suggest that Hull KR maybe also showed a bit more willingness to play rugby in a game where both sides tried to avoid playing rugby wherever and whenever they could. Maybe if that long-range penalty in the first half hadn't have hit the post and bounced out from Craig Hall, it might have been a different story earlier on than this, and it might have been Trini who were trying to come back into it late on and force a mistake. But Rovers didn't make those mistakes, and controversial as it. Well, I mean, there's no highlights from this game, is there? Let's face it, Tim.
No, it was a lot of people lining up to take kicks. Yeah,
it's more controversy, isn't it, from the two moments? So I listened to the TalkSport 2 commentary, and they called Tom Johnston in touch from their view, which was on that sideline. But from the camera angle I've seen, I think it's a bit inconclusive. I'm not certain one way or another. But the flag
from the still photograph I've seen, it looks more in touch than it is.
Well, the only still photograph I've seen was of him putting the ball down. And that's hard to tell whether there was no ball on the line as well as in the field of play getting scored. But the touch, he had his flag up before that. So he obviously thought there was a foot in touch. And I haven't seen a clear photograph of that, to be honest. I don't know if you have then.
Yeah, it was just the one of him with his two arms out putting the ball down. But it does look like that the arm that's under is clearly in touch for me.
Fair enough. Well, I think the foot had been called in touch, the right foot on his last step as he kind of then sort of sprung around. But, similarly inconclusive to that one, I suppose, was the winning try, I think. It's not totally clear from the one camera shot whether it did go forwards, whether it did go backwards, whether it just went sideways to find Danny Maguire. I still
had to
don't
be
think
Maguire, though, didn't it? Of all the people, it had to be him, and on a day when he'd already incurred the wrath of the official.
Yeah, apparently no foul and offensive language was used, just a bit of dissent.
According to his Twitter, he'd asked a question. He hadn't swore or he questioned any integrity. He just asked a question.
He's obviously asked it in the wrong way, and you can't do that now. You don't play for Leeds, Danny. Come on, get your head in this game. You should know now. 2-2 on the sin bin count, as was said. Between Brough and Maguire.
Yeah. Who do you think is going to finish the season higher?
I would say there is a chance that it was forward, that from that situation. It's unclear how it ends up where it ends up, because both the players are attacking it from the other direction. So you would have thought if the ball was going to go anywhere, it would have gone in front of the two players who were attacking it, which would have been towards the camera, but it ended up going away from the camera. So I'm not sure if there was knock-ons between the players before it came out as well. I've watched it a few times, and I'm not certain from where the Hull KR player might have made contact with the ball that it definitely did go forwards. I'm also not sure if it didn't actually come off Tom Johnston. I mean, it's not a great. Certainly, there's no way a video ref being at that game with the camera access that existed at that game would have been able to give a different call to the live call from what I saw. But yeah, Hull KR rode their luck a little bit, but they seem to make better of the conditions overall, and you give them credit for that rather than just throwing the game in the hands of a young referee. I think Chris Chester, I've got a lot of time for and respect for, but that's taken an edge off, and I think he shouldn't have done it. But that's me. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's wrong to blame the referee. I mean, the referee had how many decisions to make. You had how many players making how many decisions.
Yeah, and it's not like they didn't have enough ball in attacking positions, because they chose to take penalties several times in those sorts of positions. If they'd have used the ball a little bit more, or tried to use it a little bit more, I know conditions weren't favouring it, but if they'd have tried to use the ball a little bit more, they might have scored. If they'd have given people like Tupu and Lynn the ball in good position, it might have been a different story. But there you go. Crap conditions and resulted in a pretty dour match by the sounds of it. So you got to give credit to the winning side who come out in those situations like we have done in other games. Okay, in the standings, Tim. All the sides are off the mark now, but London... hold on. Where am I going here? All the sides are off the mark now, but the bottom three stay as Huddersfield in 12th, Leeds in 11th, and Wigan in 10th after Wigan got their points back midweek. London, Catalans, and Wakefield sit above them all on 4 points. Both Hull sides have 6 points, with FC 5th and Chaos 6th on points difference. Salford are 4th, Warrington stay 3rd, Castleford drop to 2nd, with St Helens now the only 100% side, and they take over at the top. Stat line of the week was obviously Jake Bibby, wasn't it? 2 tries, 2 try assists, 162 metres, 3 clean breaks and 3 successful offloads. And to me, he's my player of the week as well. I know you wanted to pull out Jackson Hastings as being the main man, and also, plenty of credit to Niall Evans too. But the thing for me with Jake Bibby is, it was such a surprise that he was so good in this game. Yeah, exactly. That's why he takes it over those other guys.
If you had to tell me that a Salford player got that stat line, Jake Bibby would not be my 6th choice.
No, exactly. And even if you knew Sal was out and he was playing, you still would have thought, there's maybe some errors coming there. But there wasn't. He was fantastic. So I'm going to go with him as my player of the week. What about you? I'm going to go... Sorry? Danny Maguire?
I'm going to say Jake Mamu Mumu. I think for his performance on Thursday night.
Fair enough. Highlight of the week. I think I'm going to be a bit greedy here and talk about Salford's entire run of tries for either side of half-time in France. I think that spell from the CO try to the Griffin try was all fantastic to watch. And I can't pick a favourite out of that, maybe edging the Griffin one. But I enjoyed them all. So well done to Salford. They got my highlight of the week. If yours is George Williams...
Oh, it's got to be. How could it not be George Williams, like trying to flap at a seal or something? He's sort of doing an impression of someone, trying to, who isn't the most ably coordinated trying to catch a tennis ball. It was just, it was It was comedy gold, and I must have watched it about 50 times by now.
Fair play to you, Tim. Fair play to you. I'll let you have it and enjoy it.
If it was a Saints player, you would be doing exactly this. If it was Ryan Atkins, you'd probably already have a frame by frame still up on your wall.
Okay, in terms of prediction Super and Fantasy League updates, Tim, 2 out of 6 from you.